Hello there. I'm Reverend Ryan, and we are Soul Evolution Collaborative, a nonprofit based in universal spiritual principles, offering possibilities to maybe live life a little bit differently, to live it more authentically, and to really begin to transform not only our own experiences, but the experiences of the world around us. And this is Truth Be Told, our weekly series that is kind of changing the norms as we explore how to navigate this thing we call life and how to use spiritual principles and tools to do just that and maybe to look at life a little bit differently. And so this month, we are kicking off a brand new topic of passion. And we're going to talk about kind of what it is and how it shows up in our life. But throughout the course of the month, we're going to talk about how to find our passion, how to live from our passion or live from the things that we're passionate about, the things that set us on fire. And then how to use our passions not only to transform our own individual lives, but how can we use our passion collectively to really outpicture and transform the world around us. And so there's so much to talk about. So today is a little bit different. We have a special guest, Reverend Chris Alexander, who I am partially fond of, and she'll be on in just a minute. So we're going to just kind of get this party started about talking about passion today and how it shows up in our life. So sit back and relax and enjoy this episode of Truth Be Told. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
So passion. I'm so excited about this month because I really think that for me, I often forget about passion and like what it feels like in my body and like how that energy, that kind of that on fire energy really can impact not only my life, but the world around us. And so I'm really excited about this month, how we can begin to kind of dig a little bit deeper and like what is passion. So I thought I would just start off by asking you, since you are our special guest, when you hear the word passion or you're in conversation about passion, what comes to mind? What's like the first thing that comes to mind, and like how does passion show up in your life? I'm very interested to
know. Well, I think I forget about passion also, right? Like we get so caught up in the everyday sort of what's next that we forget that, like, I think especially in our roles as ministers, I mean, we're doing our passion, at least I'm doing my passion. And yet it can get a little, I don't know, not drudgery exactly, but just it can get a little like, oh my God, I'm trying to like trudge through the mud if I forget that sort of like passion aspect. So I looked up the definition of passion because that's what I do. And it says a lot of things, but the ones we're going to go with are a thing arousing enthusiasm and an intense desire or enthusiasm for something. And what I thought was really interesting was this idea that our passions change over time.
know.
And what I'm passionate for today, I might not be passionate for tomorrow. And it almost, it's, I don't know, I feel like there's almost two sort of types of passion. There's this like deep, like abiding passion that is sort of what I would say is for ministry for me, or even like in my relationship with you, right? Like it's this thing that's not going to go away even if there's a hard day or a hard moment. Like I'm still going to be passionate about ministry even on a hard day, or I'm still going to be passionate about my marriage even if like we have a argument about picking up dogs and sweaters on the side of the road, or whatever it may be. And then there's this sort of like day-to-day sort of like flitting from one thing to another. I've been passionate about cherries, like eating cherries, right? But that might go away. And I am enthusiastic about certain foods or certain activities, and those kind of come and go. And so it's almost like we get to look at where does our passion intersect with our values, with our purpose, with our intentionality? Like where do we get to put our focus, and then how do we remember our passion when things get hard? I think that's probably the big question.
Well, and I like that you mentioned values, because as I was thinking about passion, I think we kind of have this romanticized, kind of sexy sort of, the passion, and it just stirs, and it's like this kind of 35,000 feet sort of experience. But like, how do you have that like in the thing,
Right.
like walking down the street, in the 3D version of our life? And I think you mentioned values, and I think for me, I think when you look at our values, which we covered last month, which is kind of a really good sort of segue into this month, I think those things that we value, whether it's qualities, or whether it's, virtues, or whether it's experiences, I think that really does kind of hint to our passion. And so I think they're very closely intertwined, because the more that we understand what our values are, and the more that we begin to live for those values, then we live in a kind of alignment with who we are, and we're each individuals. And so that living in alignment kind of creates that passionate energy. And so it becomes this kind of like really clear conduit for us to live from. Someone a long time ago described passion to me like, what's like the things that if you woke up and you just had to do today, like those were the things that just set you on fire. And I don't know about you, but there are many days that I am not set fire with this passionate sort of experience. But I think that the low key living our passion is living from our values, and those things that really create that congruence within us, where we can really feel it. When we know it, when we know we're in alignment, we know we're in the groove or in the zone or whatever, or it could be our zone of genius, as you often say. It's like when we're doing that thing, we feel it. It's not only something that we're doing out here, but we're just living it from the inside out. And I think that's a little bit for me when I hear passion. It's that living from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't always, sometimes that's challenging. It's not always this like big dramatic sort of expression. That's what I think of.
I do think there's something there as well, because like if I think about how passion showed up when I was younger, and maybe this is just because I'm an Enneagram 7 and so I'm all about the fun, but it's like what I would have deemed as passion would have been like flitting from thing to thing, and never like, to me, I think sometimes passion can be used as an excuse to not stick with something when it gets hard.
Mm, yeah.
And so I do think that there needs to be this alignment that you're talking about, an alignment with our passion, our purpose, our values, our intention, the way we show up, our motivation, like that it does kind of all have to go hand in hand. Otherwise, I feel like passion might fizzle when it's no longer fun anymore, when it's no longer, when it's no longer bringing joy every moment of every day. Now if it's not bringing joy at all, there's
Right.
something to look at there. But
Right.
that understanding that our passion, the things that we're most passionate about, might not be easy. And I
Yeah.
think we might have this idea that if something's hard, then it's not the way we should go. But that's not true.
Yeah. Well, I think you often hear like when people are like artists, and they're doing their art and they're doing their thing, and then they begin to like make a business out of it. And
Mm,
now their art, this thing they're passionate about, kind of like clashes with, I don't know, this kind of like 9 to 5 experience. And
yeah.
so I think that's where, okay, you're talking about like when it gets hard, when you have to kind of balance those things. And I think that I think just going back to the values thing, I think for me, has been the eye-opening thing this week as I've been thinking about passion. What does that mean? And then feeling a little, I don't know, imposter syndrome, because I
Mm,
don't always feel, yes, I'm going to save the world sort of experience. And so just understanding that like our passion, that passion, whether it's passion as an action or passion as a thing that we are passionate about, because I think there are
mhm.
two different ways to look at passion. I think that understanding that it's those values, it's those day-to-day experiences, it is those applications, it is those constant balance and alignment, constantly asking ourselves questions, being curious about the things that are bringing us joy or the things that are really spurring like intentional action in the world. We see that a lot in like social justice movements, this passion for equality, this passion for justice. And
Mhm.
so all of those are based on values, the things that are really important to us. And then now I think passion almost seems like, now how do we really use these values to really begin to let them navigate the experience of our life? And so I'm excited for what this month holds about passion, and I think that um, yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot because,
Yeah.
as the title today is, passion is more than you think. I think it's more than just this whatever experience that we're thinking about, but it's like
Yeah.
this curiosity and layered sort of understanding.
Yeah.
So you get the final word. You get the final word on passion, at least for today. So the one thing, the one takeaway.
The one takeaway. Hmm. The one takeaway on this conversation about passion is going to be depth. Because I do think that there's this idea that passion should be insert the blank, right? And you're right, there is layers, there is depth, and so we get to bring all of our spiritual tools and understanding to this idea of passion just like we would any other thing. So how does passion and integrity interact with each other? How does passion and purpose interact with each other? How do passion and values interact with each other? And where can I allow, if what I have found is that it can be really challenging to live for my values, right? Like there are sometimes I don't want to be in integrity. I just want to do whatever the heck I want to do, right? And so, how can passion step in to support me in living a life from values, from purpose, from integrity, from intention when the going gets hard? Like, how can passion be a support system and a motivator to continue to move forward towards our vision? And to continue to hold, like, if enthusiasm is the definition that's in passion, how can we allow passion to support us in being enthusiastic even when what we're doing is challenging or not what we thought we would be doing when we started the journey? How can passion support us through the rough parts and lead us further into our vision?
Well, I like that you're leaving us with questions because then all that like that, well, not that we have all the answers, but we're going to explore the answers and the possibilities to those questions this month. And so it's just kind of a perfect setup to how can we live from those spaces. And so I am filled with passion right now just because I'm really excited about where the direction of this conversation is going to take us, and then how we can actually use this in our everyday lives.
I
So
figured you were filled with passion because you're looking at your beautiful wife's face.
that's it. That's it. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in to this, just a taste, just an appetizer of our conversation about passion this month. And so we're going to explore all the questions that we talked about today. How can we live from our passion? How can we figure out the things that we're passionate about? How can we integrate our values and our experiences and those principles and practices that we utilize to navigate the world? How can we incorporate those and integrate those in passion? And how does that integration really impact not only our individual lives, but our collective lives? And so, if you want to kind of dig a little bit deeper into this conversation, we would invite you to join us on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. for the gathering. It's a perfect opportunity if you are down to talking to some really cool folks. It's a small group gathering, and we just explore some of these questions and talk about how they show up in our own experience. There are so many other amazing activities happening at Soul Evolution Collaborative. This Friday, we have our socially engaged conversations where we're going to talk about social activism and spirituality. Are they friends or are they foes? And how can we begin to use these conversations to really impact our lives and the world around us? And so, for those events and so many others, check out our website, soulevolutioncollaborative.org. There's so many amazing things and lots of different ways to get involved. So if we don't see you at any of those events or Thursday or Friday, we will definitely see you back here next week for Truth Be Told 2.0.